from the National News Studio, Sri Lanka.
Very good evening to you and a warm welcome to the news live from the National News Studios. I'm Sharifa Tahir and joining with me tonight is Niket Karnaratna on the news. And first off, we take a look at stories making headlines tonight.
Fuel prices increases again. Bus fares will increase from midnight today. Minimum bus fare is at 32 rupees. World Health Organization extends full support to overcome the medical crisis in Sri Lanka. Central Bank Governor urges the political authority to extend support without party differences for positive policy decisions. Committee on Finance approves the proposal to increase the credit limit to ₹1 trillion. New secretaries for Cabinet Ministries. The draft of the 21st Constitution Amendment set to be provided for all political party leaders representing the Parliament. CID records a statement from MP Johnston for 5 hours. Opposition leader Sajid says he rejected the premiership 71 times to defeat conspiracies. Eco-friendly pens which can be planted. Russia attacks on their final targets in eastern Ukraine.
Onto those and other stories in detail. Fuel prices have been increased again in accordance with the fuel price formula after considering the world oil prices and other factors. Accordingly, fuel prices will be revised bi-weekly or monthly. The increased fuel rates will be effective from 3 a.m. today. The price of a litre of octane 92 petrol has been increased by 82 rupees. Accordingly, the new price is 420 rupees. A litre of octane 95 petrol has been increased by 77 rupees. Accordingly, the new rate is at 450 rupees. A litre of auto diesel has been increased by 111 rupees, with a new price of 400 rupees. The new price of super diesel is at 445 rupees after increasing it by 116. The new prices of fuel have been revised based on the fuel import costs, unloading and distribution costs and taxations. However, profits are not being considered in the price revisions. Lanka IOC has also revised the fuel rates similar to the rates of Ceylon Petroleum Corporation. Minister Kanchana Wijesekara said that a price formula was introduced in the past. He said that when they were in the opposition, they criticized this move. However, he added that this formula has become a necessity for the country. Accordingly, he said that the benefits of the price formula will be extended to the public, especially when the world oil prices reduce. The limits imposed on the issuance of fuel for vehicles have also been revised. Accordingly, the limit imposed on motorcycles has been increased to 2,500 rupees, while the new limit on three-wheelers is at 3,000 rupees. The limit on motor vehicles such as cars, vans and jeeps has been increased to 10,000 rupees. However, measures have not been taken to revise the existing rate of kerosene. Minister Kanchana Wijesekara said that kerosene is sold at 87 rupees for consumers, even though the production cost is at 362.26 rupees. Accordingly, he said that Sipetco sustains a loss of 275 rupees a litre from kerosene. He added that incentives will be provided on a monthly basis for identified segments, including fisheries, estate workers and low-income earning families, when the rate of kerosene will be revised. Meanwhile, long queues were also seen today near many filling stations across the country. A tense situation occurred near a filling station in Vallavaya town last night. A group of people took steps to block the Vallavaya Monoragala main road, demanding fuel. At this instance, a group of residents of the area had requested the protesters not to block the road. Reports have indicated that a furor had occurred following a disagreement. 2 persons have been hospitalized following the incident. Mathura police was able to recover 560 litres of diesel and 40 litres of petrol concealed in a shop in Hunukotua, Mathura area following a raid.
Minister Kanchana Wijesekara, taking part in the Cabinet media briefing held today, says that the Cabinet approval has been granted to revise the price rates of essential services, including bus services, following the fuel price hike. Accordingly, the National Transport Commission has said that steps have been taken to increase the bus fares by 19.5% from midnight today. As per the revised fares, the minimum bus fare will be increased to 32 rupees. Director General of National Transport Commission Nilan Miranda said that they only considered the price increase of diesel. Accordingly, he said that the fares will be increased by 19%. Therefore, he added that the minimum fare, which was at 27 rupees, will be increased to 32 rupees. He said that the revised fares will be applicable for both private and SLTB bus fares.
සියලුම බස් ගාස්තු වැඩිවීම අද මධ්‍යම රාත්‍රියෙන් පසුව ක්‍රියාත්මක වෙනවා. මේ බස් ගාස්තු වැඩිවීම ශ්‍රී ලංකම සහ පෞද්ගලික බස් රථ දෙවර්ගයටම අදාළ වෙනවා.
All Ceylon School Transport Services Association said that the relevant fares will also be increased with the fuel price hike. Secretary to the All Ceylon School Transport Services Association, Lalit Chandrasiri, said that those who are engaged in this service tend to leave the profession and sell their vehicles with fuel price hike. Therefore, he requested the government to provide incentives on fuel for public passenger transport services. If not, these vehicles will have to be handed over to financial institutions and banks. Three-wheeler fares are also expected to increase following the fuel price hike. President of All Ceylon Three-Wheeler Drivers Trade Union Lalit Dharmasekara said that a maximum of 100 rupees for the first kilometre and 80 rupees for the second kilometre can be maintained as fares. Restaurant Owners Association said that prices of cooked food will also be revised with the fuel price hike. President of Restaurant Owners Association Asela Sampath said that it is suitable to increase the rates by 10% in order to maintain and ensure the industry and safeguard the employments of the workers. In the meantime, the World Health Organization representative to Sri Lanka, Dr. Alaka Singh, assured the Prime Minister that all necessary support to overcome Sri Lanka's medical crisis, and she made these remarks during a meeting with Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe today at the Prime Minister's office in Colombo.
Dr. Singh said that she was confident Sri Lanka would be able to resolve the medicine shortage by July and August under the new health program implemented by the current government. Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe appreciated the support extended by the World Health Organization to improve the health standards of Sri Lanka, as well as the support extended by many countries, including India and Bangladesh. She stressed that the World Health Organization is committed to improving the nutritional needs of infants and pregnant mothers. She further said that Sri Lanka will receive $2 million under the initial phase of its assistance program. Chairman of the special committee appointed by the Prime Minister to propose measures to alleviate the shortage of medicines, Ruwan Wijewardena, and Secretary to the Prime Minister, Saman Ekanayaka, were present on this occasion.
USAID Administrator Samantha Power engaged in a phone call with Prime Minister of Sri Lanka Ranil Wickremesinghe yesterday. Administrator Power held a call with Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe to discuss how USAID is responding to the country's political and economic crisis. Administrator Power expressed her sympathy for those Sri Lankans who were killed or injured in the political unrest earlier this month. She pledged her support to the people of Sri Lanka and committed that US aid would help the country weather the crisis. She stressed the need to urgently undertake political and economic reforms to gain the trust of the Sri Lankan people. Administrator Power underscored that US aid is pivoting its ongoing programs in Sri Lanka to help address the urgent needs of Sri Lanka's most vulnerable and marginalized communities as they experience the economic shocks compounded by rising food, fuel and fertilizer prices due to Russia's unprovoked war against Ukraine. Administrator Power assured the Prime Minister that US aid would closely work with other donors such as the IMF, the World Bank, G7 and others to support Sri Lanka during this extraordinarily difficult period.
23 new secretaries have been appointed for cabinet ministries. Accordingly, the new secretaries received their respective appointment letters from President Gotabaya Rajapaksa at the President's office today. RWR Premasiri is the new secretary for the Ministry of Transport and Highways. The new secretary to the Ministry of Public Administration, Home Affairs and Local Government is MMPK Mayadurne. KDS Ruan Chandra has been appointed as the Secretary to the Ministry of Ports and Shipping and Aviation Services, while Secretary to the Ministry of Trade, Commerce and Food Security is ST Kodikara. Vasanta Pereira has been appointed as the Secretary to the Justice and Prison Reforms and Constitutional Affairs. S. Hettiarachchi has been appointed as the Secretary to the Ministry of Public Security. The new Secretary to the Ministry of Education is M. Ranasinghe. MP De UK Patirana is a new Secretary to the Power and Energy Ministry. RMI Ratnayaka has been appointed as the Secretary to the Ministry of Fisheries. Monty Ranathunga has been appointed as the Secretary to the Ministry of Water Supply. Anuradha Vijayakorn as that to the Ministry of Sports and Youth Affairs, while Uday Jailal has been appointed as the Secretary to the Ministry of Irrigation. Dr. Anil Jaisinghe is the Secretary to the Ministry of Environment. Dr. Anusha Palpita is the new Secretary to the Ministry of Mass Media. MDR Pushpakumara and Somaratna Vidanapathirana have been appointed as the Secretaries to the Ministries of Agriculture and Buddhasasana, Religious Affairs and Cultural Affairs respectively. Retired General Dayaratnayaka has been appointed as Secretary to the Ministry of Trade, while Arune Vijayvardhana is the new Secretary to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. VLAJ Dharmakirti has been appointed as the Secretary to the Plantation Industries Ministry. RMCM Herath is the new Secretary to the Ministry of Wildlife and Forest Conservation. SJS Chandragupta has been appointed as the Secretary to the Ministry of Health, while PHC Ratnayaka has been appointed as the Secretary to the Ministry of Urban Development and Housing. Meanwhile, RPA Vimalavira received the appointment letter from the President as the Secretary to the Ministry of Labour and Foreign Employment.
Central Bank Governor Dr. Nandalal Veerasinghe says the political authority to reveal the true reality of the country in the face of present difficult economic conditions to the public. He emphasized to extend support for the policy decisions taken towards a long-term economic stability without any party differences or for any narrow political advantages. The central bank governor made these remarks during the meeting of the Committee on Public Finances of the Parliament today. The Committee on Public Finance, led by parliamentarian Anura Priyadarshini Yapa, summoned Central Bank Governor, Finance Ministry Secretary and related officers to discuss over the present economic crisis today. The Central Bank Governor pointed out that the fuel price formula was not implemented amidst the objections revealed or levelled against this new initiative previously. However, the formula had to be introduced today. Chairman of the Committee on Public Finance, MP Anura Priyadarshini Yapa, recommended to submit a full report over the way forward on the policy decisions need to be made to gradually build a stable economy while resolving the present economic crisis. Accordingly, he said that necessary support in this regard will be obtained after submitting it to the Parliament. Briefing the present economic condition, the central bank governor said that agreements have been reached to utilize provisions worth $600 million allocated for projects initiated under World Bank financial assistance to purchase necessities including fuel and LP gas. He pointed out that even though US dollar cash flow can be assured, The Ceylon Electricity Board, Ceylon Petroleum Corporation and the Litrogas Company have insufficient reserves of rupees to purchase dollars due to heavy losses sustained by the state institutions. The central bank governor further mentioned that negotiations between the International Monetary Fund are currently underway, and today is the final day of the first round negotiations in the technical level talks. The central bank governor pointed out that the next 3 to 4 month period, which will be taken to reach an agreement with the IMF following the successful conclusion of discussions and debt restructuring, will be a challenging period to the country. The central bank governor said that the parliament was misled by submitting an estimated state revenue, which was not a realistic and a reasonable forecasted revenue when compiling the budget in the recent past. He further said that high financial provisions allocated for ministries and affiliated institutions based on the forecasted state revenue and the wider gap in the budget deficit had led to the present situation in the country. Further discussions were held over various issues concerning to the economy and economic development during the meeting. Meanwhile, the Committee on Public Finance agreed to present the proposal to increase the credit limit permitted to be issued as treasury bills under the relevant ordinance up to 1 trillion rupees additionally. Cabinet spokesman Minister Bandula Gunawardena says immediate steps will be taken to hand over the draft of the 21st constitutional amendment to all party leaders representing the parliament.
The draft amendment will be presented to the cabinet next Monday together with the opinions and suggestions of party leaders. Subsequently, these remarks were shared during media briefing held today to announce the cabinet decisions. Minister Bandula Gunawardena said that Justice Minister Vijaydas Rajapaksa has presented the 21st constitutional amendment in an effort to resolve the existing political turmoil. He added that the relevant draft was submitted yesterday. He said that the draft amendment will be presented to the cabinet next Monday together with the opinions and suggestions of party leaders. The minister also made remarks over the series of violent incidents that occurred on the 9th of May. Minister Bandula Gunawardena urged not to support any activity which could further escalate violence in the country, and the new constitution should ensure the right of all to live without any fear or suspicion. He said that all should rally together to ensure such incidents would not repeat in the country again.
Minister of Power and Energy. Minister, you said about $500 billion loan from Indian Exim Bank. What are the terms and conditions for this loan? That's my first question. And the second question is, there are talks about around $6 million demurrages overall from petroleum sector and as well as from LP gas. How this is recovered? I mean, are you all kind of adding it into the unloading cost, or how do you all do that? And is there any way you can reduce this demurrage cost? And the next question is, who is the finance minister? How are you all managing without a finance minister?
Shihar, your last question I'll answer first. The president has to decide who the president and the prime minister will decide who will be the next finance minister. And right now the president in his capacity will act as the acting finance minister until a new finance minister is appointed. The other two questions on the 500 million facility from India, it's a credit line. It's the same facility that was extended earlier, the 500 million extended from Exim Bank, the 200 million extended from SBI Bank, and the new proposed one is also a 500 million credit facility through the Exim Bank of India. So the terms are being discussed right now. So principally they have agreed to offer the credit line to Sri Lanka. So the technical committee meetings are taking place now, but we have requested for a payback period of about 7 years. The last one was a payback period of 1 year, but the new credit line, we have asked for a grace period as well as a payback period of 7 years for the new credit line. The other question is on the demurrages. Of course, we understand it's a huge cost to the government and CPC, but it's not included in the calculation process. It's not taken into account calculating the fuel cost, the demurrages fees, and of course we don't want to have any demurrage fees. That is our priority. But unfortunately, with the situation that we are in, with the dollar situation and the rupee situation in the institution and as well as the central bank, so we have had to face certain instances where we had to pay demurrages to take certain vessels in. We have made requests to the central bank and the finance ministry. We have given our schedule. So if the funds are available, we don't need to pay demurrages, but it's not something that we do intentionally or it is included in the cost of calculation.
The fuel credit from State Bank India and also Exim Bank, who is the borrower? Is the CPC borrowing the money or is the Treasury borrowing the money and you pay money to the Treasury and buy dollars? And who ends up holding the debt?
We work with the Treasury. What we do is we have an account that is established to collect the rupees that we get from the sales of the Indian credit line facility. So we collect that into a separate account and we will be handing over the rupee value of what we have obtained to the Treasury, and whatever gaps needs to be bridged, that will be bridged by the Treasury as well, and the central bank will do the conversion.
Beginning of this whole problem that we are facing today was due to the issue with electricity and the supply of electricity. Somewhere in last year, we had a renewable energy EOI, which was supposed to resolve at least some of the questions, some of the problems that we have with renewable energy. But up to today, we have not heard of anything about the EOI or its results or what is going to happen in terms of bringing down some larger utility scale renewable energy projects to this country so that we can have a steady electricity supply going forward. Any response to that, Minister?
Yes, you're absolutely right. There were some EOIs that were floated by the SCA, but unfortunately, because of a amendment that we need to do in the Ceylon Electricity Board Amendment Act that we have not been successful in doing so, but we have already submitted to the cabinet and we have already approved in the cabinet the amendments that are needed for the Ceylon Electricity Board Act, and it has been presented in Parliament last Tuesday, and we are hoping to debate this in the coming week in Parliament. With that, we are sure that we can work with SCA and CEB together. In terms of this EOI, there were concerns from the CEB on the transmission line and the grid capacity. So we are working now with both authorities to see where it is possible to accommodate some of those EOIs, because some of those EOIs, there were multiple bidders for the same plot of land. So we have identified about 53 applicants that we can issue the RFP documents, so we will start that immediately.
Cabinet of Ministers has granted approval to obtain a series of short-term loan facilities to purchase petroleum products required by the country.
The relevant loan facilities will be obtained with the assistance of the Export-Import Bank in India. Measures have already been taken to obtain a short-term loan facility of $500 million with the assistance of the Export-Import Bank of India, as well as another loan facility of $200 million under the assistance of the State Bank of India. The Cabinet of Ministers granted approval for the proposal submitted by Minister Kanchana Vijayasekara. The Cabinet of Ministers approved the proposal presented by the Minister of Manusha Nanayakara to sign a new Memorandum of Understanding for a period of 2 years or for another period agreed by the Korean government. The two countries have signed a Memorandum of Understanding to send workers to the Republic of Korea under the employment permit system. Under the agreement, Sri Lankans are receiving employment opportunities in South Korea for 4 years and 10 months. The relevant Memorandum of Understanding should be extended every 2 years. Cabinet approval has been granted for the procurement of an international financial advisory service and an international legal advisory service to restructure the external debt of the government of Sri Lanka. The relevant proposal was presented by the President Gotabaya Rajapaksa. The Cabinet of Ministers decided to appoint Minister Bandula Gunawardena as the new Cabinet spokesman. Meanwhile, Ministers Mahinda Amaravira, Kanchana Vijayasekara and Manusha Nanayakara have been appointed as co-media spokespersons.
Former Minister Johnston Fernando arrived at the Criminal Investigation Department this morning. He left the premises this evening after recording a statement for nearly 5 hours. The police have indicated that the former minister was summoned to record a statement over a series of alleged assaults that occurred on the 9th of May at Galface Green People's protest. The police also said that even though the former minister was summoned to the CID yesterday, he failed to appear before the CID. Meanwhile, DIG in charge of CID, W. Tilakaratne, has been appointed as the DIG of the Special Security Division. The relevant appointment has been carried out upon the request of the officer as per the police headquarters. Necessary procedures have been followed over the relevant transfers. Accordingly, DIG SP Ranasinghe has been appointed for the vacant post of the CID police headquarters as announced. Heavy rains prevailed this morning that disrupted the GCE ordinary level examination activities.
Well, in the meantime, we take a look at a different story right now. Opposition leader Sajid Premadasa says he rejected the premiership 71 times to defeat conspiracies, and he made these remarks while speaking to the media today. Opposition leader Sajid Premadasa said that he rejected the premiership 71 times and defeated the 51-day conspiracy. He said that the premiership was rejected even recently, not to betray the people's protest and to bring victory for the people. He said that he is ready to abolish executive presidency, implement the 19th Amendment and reject the 20th Amendment. He pointed out the need to ensure the rights of the people through a positive governance. He said that they are ready to fulfill their duties within an ethical and principled fresh political journey and fresh political culture.
Moving back to the GC ordinary level examinations, heavy rains prevailed this morning, which disrupted the examinations at the St. Andrews College in Puttalam. Accordingly, reports have indicated that the examination was not commenced on time due to these conditions. All buildings at the examination centre were inundated due to heavy rains. Many students faced great difficulties under these conditions. Puttalam District Disaster Management Officers and Puttalam Sri Lanka Army Base personnel mediated in providing necessary facilities to conduct the examination. Sri Lanka Army personnel were seen actively engaging in taking students to the examination centres amidst the heavy rain. Commissioner General of Examinations LMD Dharmasena said that additional time was provided for the students due to the delay. He said that the Disaster Management Centre and Sri Lanka Army had also provided food for the students. Cut-off marks of the 2021 Grade 5 Scholarship Examination have been released by the Ministry of Education. The students who have not received a school, even though qualified based on the results, or wish to change school based on fair reasons, can submit their appeals through an online system. Accordingly, students can access www.g6application.moe.gov.lk website to inquire into schools.
Today is the 46th day of the people's protest underway in front of the Presidential Secretariat in Golfers Green.
Large crowds from various parts of the country were seen arriving to the protest site last night as well. Many programs including theatre, musical, workshops and various activities were organised yesterday. The protest in front of the temple trees was underway today as well. CID has commenced investigations over the alleged assault on the protesters at the site on the 9th of May. Accordingly, statements were recorded this morning from the protesters at the No Deal Gummer. The protest in front of the temple trees was underway today as well. The CID commenced investigations over the alleged assault. Statements were recorded this morning from the protesters at the No Deal Gummer.
Sri Lanka Army's newest contingent of army personnel to serve in the United Nations multi-dimensional integrated stabilization mission in Mali left for Mali last evening. This contingent is comprised of 90 personnel and officers. Sri Lanka Army Commander General Shavendra Silva arrived at the Katunayake Bandaranaike International Airport to extend his well wishes to the contingent. Accordingly, personnel in Combat Convoy Company will leave the country under 3 phases to join the humanitarian operations in Mali. This group consists of 100 personnel, including 10 officers.
Improper disposal of non-degradable waste causes various implications to the environment. Plastic pens are considered as one of the non-degradable waste causes, which causes severe impacts to the environment through improper disposal.
Accordingly, one person has been able to invent a biodegradable pen which can be planted after the use in an effort to minimize environmental pollution from plastic pens.
A considerable amount of plastic pens are disposed to the environment a day after use. Accordingly, a resident in Vattegama Kandy named Kumar Mel was invented this biodegradable pen as a solution to minimize environmental damage caused from plastic. This environmental friendly pen has been invented using biodegradable material. This pen can be planted following use. The inventor of the pen, Kumar Mel, has pointed out that vegetables, fruits and various other types of saplings can be used to be planted. This pen is similar to the other normal pens in the market in terms of size and weight. Kumar Mel has emphasized that this biodegradable pen has an attractive demand in both local and foreign markets. We'll be back with foreign news after this short break.
හොඳම දේ විශ්වාසයෙන් ට්‍රීට් කරන්න. Prima Treats. Life is a treat.
Welcome back, and we move on to news overseas now. Russia has stepped up offensive on the last pocket of resistance around Luhansk in Ukraine's east as the conflict, which began with Moscow February 24th incursion, entered its fourth month.
Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky said that the coming weeks of the war will be difficult. The most difficult fighting situation is in Donbass. President Zelensky further said, singling out the worst-hit towns of Popasna and Severodonetsk. The governor of Luhansk in Donbass said Russia has sent thousands of troops to capture his entire region and that the other town was under massive attack, warning residents it was too late to evacuate. Meanwhile, the Ukrainian president has also said Russia is waging total war on his country.
And we move on to sports news now. And on sports news, we take a look at cricket. And today is the second day of the second test match played in Bangladesh, and that's Sri Lanka versus Bangladesh. And we are on the second innings right now. And while playing the innings, Sri Lanka has for the moment secured 143 for 2 wickets.
The match is played in
And with that, we conclude this bulletin of news. And together with Niket, I'm Sharifa, winding things up. Thank you very much for tuning in. Have a pleasant night.
Good night.